behind me is Rabbit's Bar, where my namesake, my grandfather, Peter Rabbit, founded St. Patrick's Band in 1896, along with two others, Mike Spellman and Paddy Walsh, who were from Foster Street. Around 1900, the band moved to the present site here in the band room on Frenchville Lane, which is about 3 to 5 minute walk from Foster Street. And it changed its name then in about 1906 to St. Patrick's Fife and Drum Band.
In 1911, brass instruments were purchased and St. Patrick's Brass and Reed Band became an accomplished band, particularly as it had experienced musicians from the Connacht Rangers Band, which was based in Renmore. There was little friction in the band at the time. Some members resisted the change to brass and reed. Others used the rise in Irish nationalism as an excuse to prevent the band players from the Connacht Rangers being members of the band. But the committee was very firm on this, and they stated that it was a town band that was non-political and that everybody was welcome to play in the band. It was a very hard time for the band in the 1930s and 40s because there was a lot of immigration, and Michael Mitchell was the bandmaster and he did great work to keep the band going.
I joined the band in 1948. I'll always remember it. I had my father hassled for a long time to try and get me into the band, and one day I was walking down with him, and to my great delight and surprise, we decided he had us sit up the station. Went up to the band room, he knocked at the door, and Mr. Mitchell came out and spoke to my father, and he said, "Send him up tomorrow night." And that, I was in the moon then, because I was getting into the band at last.
I joined the band first of all back in 1952, I think it was. We did a few gigs around the country. One in particular, Mr. Mitchell was bandmaster at the time, and we were up Prospect Hill. Before Kennedy came, this guard came along and he said, "Oh, you've got to move over here." He said, because the president will be coming now shortly. So I said to Mr. Mitchell, I said, "Don't mind him at all, just we stand here. It's our turn. We parade the president into Ayr Square. We're not moving for anybody." So he stood there for a while. The guard came. No, I said, "I've asked you to move." I said, "Excuse me, guard." I says, "We have a duty to do, and we're going to do it." And Mr. Mitchell looked at me, and as much says, "Shut up now, Tom, you could get yourself into trouble." But no, I wouldn't. I said, we're staying here. Well, down through the years, there's something about a band. There's great comradeship. There really is, it's marvelous. And you never lose that friendship. It stays with you all along.
When Mr. Mitchell retired in around 67, he handed the baton over to Mr. Tommy Joyce. And a lot of Tommy's sisters were involved in the ladies committee at that time, so Tommy invited them all in to join the band and learn to play an instrument. That was groundbreaking at the time to have women in the band.
When you go to, we say, a big march like Ballinasloe or Tullamore, somewhere like that, they're either all boys in the band or all girls in the band. And people take more emotions off us when they say, "Oh gee, there's a fella and there's a girl,"
You probably do, but we're not there for our attention. We're just members as well, and we want to be treated the same as the fellas, not just for show. We're able to play equally well.
It doesn't have to be girls or fellas, As Mary said, it's not just glamour. We don't want to be there for glamour. We just want to be there as a musician, like everybody else.
We were the first females that were allowed into the band, and we started off, there was 4 of us. There was Anne Jones, Noni, Evelyn O'Connor and myself, and we broke the mould and made history.
The band became a kind of a band room of romance then, because there's a few members of the band at the time, myself included, that met our wives during that time.
I've been in the band now for 10 years and Margaret's been in it for 2. Kind of met around up there. We never went kind of serious until about 3 years ago. And then we got engaged one year, went up to the brass band competitions in Dublin. And got engaged up there, out of the blue, no one was expecting anything, caught everybody by surprise.
Kind of follows on really, you know, when people join the band and then they go off and get married and have kids. If they're still in the band, the kind of things, well, they like to get their kids involved in it because it's a very worthwhile hobby to have, and you have it all your life. You never leave you, even if some people like leave the band for a few years, but they always come back again after a while when they, you know, like through work or they're starting to get married, then they also to wander back into the band.
It's a good tradition to have. And there's so many of us in the band, relation with aunts, uncles, cousins. You get to catch up with everyone every week, so it's a nice way to keep in contact with people as well. It's a nice social side to it.
We had a big stove. It only heated about the corner of the band room. And on a cold night we'd be running around trying to heat our fingers and hands before practice.
You'd be rehearsing in the band room, and if it was raining outside you'd have to put a load of buckets on the floor, so as well as the band playing you had all this noise going on as well from the rain coming in and that.
Someone said, start singing, raindrops keep falling on my head. Oh God, many a time because the rain did come in.
So something had to be done. They patched it up for years, trying to tear the roof and the whole lot, trying to keep it going, but eventually it came to the point where it had to be taken down and a new building put up in its place.
The late Patricia Foran was the first chairperson of the band. Herself and her hard-working committee had a dream of building a new band room, and the new band room was officially opened by the Mayor of Galway in 1989, followed by a blessing by Bishop Casey and Canon Leslie Forrest.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and may He be gracious.
But now, of course, we've got a band room next to none. God, there isn't a band room anywhere like we have today, not even in England.
It is a great pleasure to be here with you during this centenary year, and I'm delighted to see such a representative cross-section of all the walks of life that have listened with pleasure to St. Patrick's Band. And we are celebrating today 100 years of commitment to music here in Galway.
Nice to meet you. And I met younger generation members of the Secretary of our band.
At this stage I'm playing for over 40 years. It's part of my life. I mean, if I don't practice every day, I think there's something missing, there's something wrong. I can't, I go, even when I used to go on holidays, I'd bring my mouthpiece with me and I'd be in the bathroom of the hotel and I'd be buzzing away inside. Margaret used to be, she thought I was kind of cracked, but that's how serious I take it. I just enjoy playing, and I also enjoy teaching an awful lot now. I like teaching all the people in the band, like teaching adults and kids. I work with them and I enjoy that. That's where I get most of my enjoyment now.
We have a junior class and we have an intermediate class, and they're quite healthy at the moment, and I try to involve myself as much as that in the coaching of the kids that are coming in the same way that I was coached. I grew up through the band. I came into the band in around 1985, and I was taught by Tommy Joyce, who was conducting the band at the time, and I sort of learned my trade from him and went on and made it a career. The bandmaster's role has a number of different functions, mainly to provide musical direction, to conduct the band, to choose the music, to set a programme, and basically to try and make as much music with all the musicians that we have as much as possible.
I'm going to start with the tubas, okay? So after 2. Ready? 1, 2.
This is the Galway Garden Festival, a feast of rare and special plants, music, entertainment, mayhem, and I suppose central in that for the 4 years of its existence, St. Patrick's Brass Band.
My father, Peter Abbott, was one of 3 persons who helped to form St. Patrick's Band Society. It was a gathering of old Galway people who were very interested in music, and they decided to do something for the town before the First World War. At first we had difficulty in fulfilling engagements. Often I'd get a phone call here and say, can the band turn up for a so-and-so pony show or something, and I couldn't guarantee the band. I went around with a few fellas and we'd try to get it together, and we'd be all waiting up at the door to see who'd turn up for the band.
The band has struggled down through the years, back in the 50s where immigration took its toll and the band disbanded for a period and got back together, and even when it got back together it was very difficult to keep a band on the road and to attract new members into it. That has all changed in the last 4 or 5 years, to the extent now today where you have a senior band of about 30 members, 30 solid, you have an intermediate band with another 20 members in it, and then you have a junior band that has started with another 25 members in it, and they're now looking to start another class again, kind of to keep that. So there's a great conveyor belt of musical talent coming through all the time, so it's really in a very healthy state.
I suppose from a work point of view, it's great to see so many youngsters and kids involved in the band. It gives them a great starting point in life. It's solid. It's great for the kids to work as a team and interact together, and it sets them off in the right direction in life. So many people have done so well, and you could say partially because of the band, set them in the right direction. So it's great from that point of view to see. The band is very welcoming in general for anybody who wants to start playing. It's great. It's a great base, and the arm is always out in the band, which is mighty.
One day I went to the pub and I asked one of the player if he knows that where is the place that I can join as a trumpet player, and he said, go to the place beside the station. So I went there on Friday and met Michael Dooley, our band conductor, and I realized later the man who I asked at the pub was actually Michael's dad. So such a coincidence. coming to the band is very now precious, that I can use time only for myself, and I can focus my hobby. Tom Feeney is very nice guy. I met him 6 years ago when I came to Galway. Since we met, he's like grandfather to me. He's like treating me like a Galway girl. Yeah.
Oh, my sweetheart. I'm very fond of her. She's a very fine musician. Oh, she's a lovely person.
Hi, Dad. Look who's here to see you.
Hello, stay where you are.
Mr. President, how are you?
Great to see you.
Oh, so good to see you.
No price can be paid on the value of music.
True.
Absolutely. And the other part of it, and no price can be paid on the gift that it is to be able to share it with all those other young people through the generations.
True, yeah.
And the intergenerational side of it as well, the way that young people can be able to learn it, and as they would say, pick it up. Do you remember when we'd come up here after the elections and after the outings on a Sunday, and you'd be there listening to your classical music, and it was actually very impressive, but it was exceptional now as well. You were better at it than most people.
Do you know what? I've had a wonderful life through music.
Is it only occurring to you now?
Exactly. We've known it for years.
Thank you very much for calling.
Oh, no. Wait.
Thank you very much.
Not at all. It's Sabina sincere regards. And we'll see you soon. No, we're going to be down in August anyway. We'll see you soon.
Give our regards to Sabina. God bless. No, that's a nice tribute. The President of Ireland came to see me. Isn't that nice? All those wonderful experiences I've had in life was through music that lasted me the day I die. It's a wonderful world, the world of music.